Well, a very good evening, South Africa. The countdown is finally over. Welcome to our very first episode of Service Delivery Gauge. Now, with the local government elections confirmed to take place on the 1st of November this year, this show is specifically designed for you to gauge the quality of service delivery in your area. I'm your host, Sakina Kamwendo, and Trifosa Nselengwe will be our sign language interpreter. And of course, as you know, this is an interactive show. We've been punting this all day, all week long. So we invite you, our viewer, to please send us your videos on how you view your municipality and how they have actually fared in delivering services to you. Our WhatsApp number is 083-272-8341. And you can also call us at a later stage in the show on 011-714-8052. So you want to keep that number handy. And of course, we also have a question of the day for you. So today we're asking you, have you registered to vote in the upcoming local government elections? Now, as you know, this past weekend was voter registration weekend, and this was the last opportunity for those who may have moved residence or those who were not on the voters roll to begin with to get themselves registered. So please send us your responses to our question of the day to @SABC News. That's our handle. Our Facebook page is also up and running, Service Delivery Gauge. That's Service Delivery Gauge, GAUGE. And you can go there and interact with us as well. Now, we kick off the show with me visiting my hometown, Standerton, which is of course serviced by the Lekwa municipality. So together with the crew, we took a drive out to Standerton, and this is what my Plattelandse dorpie delivered. Welcome to Standerton, to the Lekwa municipality. This of course is where I was born, raised, went to school, high school, primary school, all happened here. My formative years were all here. And as you can see, we're in the middle of town in the Standerton CBD. It is the end of the month, so quite busy as we drive through. So we just want to get a sense of what the town is like at this point, taking a look at the infrastructure, the state of it, given that this municipality had to be taken to court by the biggest employer in the town, Astral, to compel the municipality to actually take care of infrastructure and service delivery in the town. As we speak, the town is currently under administration, not for the first time. So we're driving now through the CBD. This is of course where the main taxi rank in the town is, as you can see. And quite a bit of activity, looking at the state of the roads as we try and navigate through. And pretty much nothing has changed since the days when I grew up. The state of the roads really, really dismal as we drive through. And it reminds one of that joke that they tell, that how do you know that someone is drunk in Mpumalanga? It's when they drive straight, because you continually have to be dodging potholes around here. And some are literally the size of craters. So taking in the sights around the town, and you can see there's water spills. I'm not so sure if it's sewer spills, but water running down the roads every so often, and people going about their daily business on a Friday afternoon. And that, of course, just a little bit of a snapshot of what goes on in town. Lots of places dug up, and the roads, the less said about the roads, the better. But lots of water getting lost as well. We'll talk about all of that later on. But right now I'm joined by Emil Umro, who's SABC specialist researcher, to tell us a little bit more about the Lekwa municipality. Emil, good evening. So as we take a little bit of a deep dive into the municipality, let's just locate it first and foremost on the map, and then talk a little bit more to some of the issues, including the demographics.
Thank you, Sakina. Well, as you know, the Lekwa municipality is in the Mpumalanga province. It's one of 7 municipalities in the Karutsibanda district. And of course, we're focusing on Standerton, which is the central hub of the municipality, with the municipal offices slap bang in the middle of town. So let's move on into some of the population dynamics. Of course, Lekwa municipality's population increased to about 123,000 in 2016. This is according to a survey by Stats SA. Now, the population growth rate is at about 1.5% per annum on average. But what's interesting is that the economic growth rate in the municipality is 1.2% per annum on average, which shows us that the population is actually growing faster than the economy, which is quite worrying. Now, the number of households that the Lekwa municipality takes care of is about 37,334, this back in 2016 as well. And this makes up about 11.2% of Karatzibanda's households in total. Now, the youth population, and this is the interesting one, forms almost 40% of the total population of Lekwa municipality. So a massive youth population in Lekwa. But interestingly, that youth population, 35% of that youth population is unemployed. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out in the polls coming up. Now, on paper, quite a large amount of households in Lekwa municipality receive water, electricity, sewerage and sanitation, and flush toilets. That all looks quite good on paper, but unfortunately, what we've seen in the unemployment figures is that 24% of Lekwa's residents are unemployed, and 40% of them live below the poverty line. So let's move on. So now we're looking at the service delivery issues in the Lekwa municipality, and obviously there are quite a few and they are abundant, as you would have seen as you drove through the town. While our viewers are looking at the sheets, let's talk a little bit about the consequences and why this has led to these service delivery issues. So, of course, as you said, the Lekwa municipality has been placed under administration 4 times now since 2009, most recently in April this year. And it was actually a first for us as South Africa, because the High Court actually ordered national government to intervene because of these service delivery issues and the lack of service delivery in the town. Also, the Auditor General in the 2019-2020 report, the Auditor General actually found that Lekwa municipality was one of the highest contributors to fruitless and wasteful expenditure in that year, amounting to about 120 million rand. Now, you can imagine how much that money could have done in terms of these service delivery issues. So let's find out who's responsible then. Moving on to your voting trends. Back in 2011, the ANC obviously had the bulk of the vote in the Lekwa municipality, with 23 seats on council, followed by the DA with a much less amount at 18% and 6 votes on council. And lastly, the PAC, which just had a seat in the 2011 municipal elections. Now, coming to 2016, more recently, we see that the ANC lost about 10% of its vote support, while the DA remained mostly consistent, losing about 1.5 or 2%. But we've seen the emergence of the Civic Voice and the EFF, and they've seemed to have stolen some of the votes from the ANC. So then, just looking at this, it might throw us forward to what we can expect going to local government elections in the weeks to come.
Well, Emile, thank you so much for that deep dive. And this, of course, we will be looking at in much greater detail as we actually extrapolate some of that information. Well, just getting back, because this is about you. This is about you gauging services in your municipality. And the focus this evening, of course, on the Lekwa municipality that incorporates Standerton, Sakile, and, of course, Morganson. So when I visited Standerton, which is my hometown, of course, this is what the residents of this municipality had to say.
Gogo Kabongwenya has been residing here in Standerton for many years. Close to her home, there is a dumping site and water running down the ground.
Nabantu baqhumukela khona manje kushone ubhuti omdala adagula wafika la ekhaya zobona umkhulu waqhumukela la khona la wangena la wabisha wangena kangaka wangena makhaza kuleli sithwathu ezamthatha ngumsesibhedlela wafika esibhedlela bathi ungene emakhaza washona abo masipala ngathi abangeni nje indaba yale ndawo izinje angathi abangeni. Ngibona nje nalabo bama-Avarona Shell bayiklinela lapho edodi le ekudeni la abezi agcina lapho khona nabezi la uthi siphile kangcono ufuna phela abasihlinele njengakucala khathi kusaklina umasipala lo umlungu
akuyilo trading mayasho yasirapotela bafoni ethu asho ukuthi ngesikhathi esisonke zibena nawo isikhathi esizobuya kodwa isikhathi uvela uhamba esikhaleni samendleleni enganamgwaqo khona manje kunendawo lapho engathi amadongo khulungelanga kwawangena lapho wabela lapho amanzi ethu ake sizocheck ukuthi anjani amalori nafika phela amanzi angcolile aniwaya niphuma lamalanga leveli ngingaphatha isuku ngaleyo ndlela leyo amanzi siyawathola empompini angcolile kwawona empompini angcolile dinga ukuthi uzuvulela impompi ithatha isikhathi ukuthi ikhiphe la angcolile ulinde lokho unless kuze abe right kuyimanje isiteshi samanzi singaphandle kwejarity sema singaphandle uthi inkinga yakho mele uyilungisele wena so lapho mele udinge ukuthi uthola umuntu obuya kulungisela and umuntu wamthola mbhadala buhlungu kakhulu sithi isikhathi sisihlalile la toilet kuyimanje iblockile njengoba ngisho ukuthi ngisebenza ngiyi-1 kuyimanje toilet iblockile mele ngizame ukuthi ngithole umuntu azilungisa imali ngoba noma ucomplaina kufanele ukuthi awusho lutho ulinda kuthembisa ukuthi hayi bazofika ngelanga lokuthi bangafika.
As we continue with our journey in the area, we speak to different citizens. They gauge and rate service delivery of Lekwa municipality. Our next stop is Korneko's house, and he explains to us how he has managed with his generator to pump water from the borehole.
Die diens van die munisipaliteit is nie vir my so goed as dit moet wees nie, veral met die water en die krag. Ek gebruik my eie boorgat om water te kan kry hierso om te stort en te bad en alles, van die water van die Lekwa hierso is baie vuil en dit kos my omtrent ekstra op my generator wat ek gebruik R2000. En ja, as die munisipale water ook as mens die munisipale water wil gebruik, die druk is so swak. Mens kan nie eers jou stort gebruik nie, want die water kom nie glad nie eens daar uit. En ja, en die ek dink hulle diens is baie swak.
As we continue engaging with the residents of Standerton, we meet Simpiwe Stephen Kumalo, and these are his thoughts about the municipality and service delivery in this province.
The people who are being brought here to administer this place, they are here just to squander the money. Okay, there are two sides of the story. Let me be honest with you. The community fails as well to take a responsibility of paying the service delivery. But municipality has got an obligation to make it a point that we as residents, we pay for the services that we are expecting from municipality, that is the water and electricity. We've been raising this matter for quite some time to say the municipality together with the law enforcement agency, they must visit the places. They can easily detect that Kumalo, who is staying at whatever house, the last time he bought electricity, it was, let's say, last year, 50 Rand. How does he manage all this time without electricity of 50 Rand? They don't make that follow up. But with this government of the ANC, it's a cadre deployment. They deploy a person who doesn't know even a pea from a bull's foot in critical post. Now, when you question that, you'll be followed by threats.
Location for our brand new show that's all about you and all about the issues that you have around service delivery. Service Delivery Gauge, brought to you by the SABC. We'll be out and about covering the length and breadth of this country to listen to you, to hear you, so that we can take your issues forward and hold the leaders accountable. So please join us for SABC's Service Delivery Gauge, and we'll have you rating your municipality red, green, or perhaps amber if you think they tried. So look out for us. We'll be in your area soon. Right, welcome back. Now, The council in the Lekwa municipality in Standerton in Mpumalanga province was dissolved in May this year and was placed under administration. Johan Mettler is the administrator at the Lekwa local municipality, and he joins us in studio, as well as Delani Tabete, who's the leader of the Lekwa Community Forum. And then we have a whole host of guests via Zoom, and we're joined by the ANC's Aubrey Mabuya, member of the mayoral from the district municipality. We also have with us from the Patriotic Alliance joining us, Muso Kubega, and he's of course also with the council in the Gertibande district. And then joining us from the Freedom Front Plus is Werner Rudolf Weber, and he's the leader of the party in the province. For the EFF, we have Tracy Simela, who's the regional command team member, and Andrew Maskew is provincial secretary of the Patriotic Alliance, as well as Nicholas Selepe with the Civic Voice. As I say, a whole host of guests joining us because there's much to get into. But let me start by asking Mr. Mabuya from the African National Congress, seeing that you had the majority in the council that was dissolved. How did Lekwa get into this mess? You have attained the dubious distinction in this municipality of being that municipality that caused the national government to intervene in a way that perhaps they didn't want to. So what happened?
Good evening, Sakina. Good evening to the fellow panelists, and good evening to the viewers. Yes, Sakina, we accept that there were challenges in Lekwa municipality which were caused by our deployees and the opposition parties by failing to follow what the law requires them to do, by having infighting inside council and causing a lot of service delivery failure. We want to accept, Sakina, that our deployees have failed the African National Congress. But we also want to put it on record as the African National Congress in the region, who have detected this matter as early as 2018. And we have been we have tried to unify our cadres. Unfortunately, they were infiltrated by the opposition parties. They couldn't come together. After seeing that we cannot unify them, as early as 2019, as the ANC at Gertibande region, who have called for the dissolution of this municipality, because the focus was not on servicing our people, but the focus was on their own personal interest and fighting amongst themselves. We have therefore accepted the decision of the national government that this municipality needs to be dissolved, because it can't be about an individual. The African National Congress is for a better life, for bettering the life of our people and making sure that our people receive services that they deserve. Therefore, we have accepted that, and we have welcomed that, though it has come later than the time that we have expected, but it was our call that this municipality needed to be dissolved. Thank you, Sakin.
Mr. Mabuya, right there, you put your own personal interest and that of the party ahead of that of the people. Not once did you say we failed the people of Lekwa. You said the comrades, the cadres, the deployees failed the ANC. So where does this leave the people with you?
As we've indicated, that it was our call that because they are failing the people of Lekwa, they therefore needed to be dissolved. The infighting amongst themselves, which the other opposition parties, and some of them, they are here. They know themselves that they've played a huge role in the failure of that municipality. Hence, we are indicating that it was our long call from 2019 that this municipality, these cadres, need to be removed from council because they are not putting the interest of the residents of Lekwa, but they were busy with their own personal interest.
Okay, so how, very briefly, did the opposition parties fail the residents of Lekwa?
They were part of the infighting, Sakina. You will remember that there was a situation wherein there was a vote of no confidence to the executive mayor and the speaker. And those comrades, some of the comrades of ours, they were colluding with the DA and the Civic Voice to remove the executive mayor and the speaker of the ANC in that council without the mandate of the African National Congress. Because we were saying to them, let them sit down, solve the problems. Kharsibande District Municipality have been trying to assist them to follow what the legislation is saying and to comply with the legislation. Now they were having problems that they were not consulting the community, they were not approving the budget on time, they were cancelling meetings when there were issues of compliance with the legislation. They will collude with the opposition, not going to council meeting, and council therefore failed to follow what the legislation or to approve what the legislation needed them to approve on time.
All right, let's hear from Mr. Kubega from the DA. Apparently you colluded to add to the woes of the people of Standerton and Lekwa municipality.
Good evening, Sakina, to your good self. Thank you very much for having us, and good evening to your viewers as well as the fellow panelists. I think, Sakina, one should start by mentioning that we never colluded with any political party in that council. What really transpired there, we believed that the executive mayor, together with the speaker, they were failing in their duties. Then we submitted a motion of no confidence, of which some of the ANC councillors believed in us that the executive mayor is failing as well as the speaker. We had to go to council and they were removed through a motion of no confidence. So we didn't collude with anybody. So I want to correct Ubab Mabua when he's saying that we colluded with Civic Voice to remove the executive mayor. If one will recall, Aubrey Mabua has been in that council since the dawn of democracy, and he contributed nothing in order to change Lekwa to a better municipality. He's been there, he's been the speaker of that council, he's been promoted to go and serve at Kharsibande District Municipality. He's quite aware. In fact, he's the part of the problem that we should be removing as the people of Lekwa. I just want to quickly take you through some stats. Lekwa local municipality has been collapsed by the current government, of which is led by the ANC. We're sitting at whereby we've got 10% of water backlogs. We have lack of reliable water supply in Lekwa local municipality villages together with farms. We have high water.
Well, apologies there, struggling there with the bandwidth there to Mr. Kubega. We'll see if we can sort that out and come back to him just to find out exactly what's been happening. Well, let me bring you in here, Delani Tabete. You also, of course, a long time, servant in this community in various positions. You've served on that very council. So talk to us. What happened? Because it would seem as though all of you were responsible for the collapse of this council.
Thank you, Sakina, and good evening to the fellow panelists and the viewers. Sakina, it's true. The problem with Lekwa municipality did not start in 2018 like Mr. Mabuya is indicating. It started long time ago. The political interference, political meddling. The unfortunate thing is that while all these political games are played, it's the people that are suffering. And Lekwa is suffering because of the political meddling done by the Kharsibande municipality, the comrades at Kharsibande, the comrade at Nelspruit. They are the ones who are running Lekwa municipality. It's never been about the politicians in Lekwa municipality because all the decisions are taken by MLO and Nelspruit on how Standerton should be run, on how Lekwa should be run. Now, if
that what was happening when you were there as well?
That's true. That is what was happening. It's so unfortunate that important decisions that should have been taken, that should have changed people's life, had to be changed because they did not suit certain individuals in MLO, they did not suit certain individuals in Nelspruit, and those decisions could not be taken. And some of us had to be expelled by the ANC because we did not agree with some of the decisions that they were taken. For an example, the decision to appoint the municipal manager that was appointed around 2001, that was not the decision of the local politicians. In fact, the decision to appoint the appointment of the municipal manager had to be postponed because no suitable candidate was found. But on Sunday evening, I got an instruction that we must appoint, say, I think candidate number 4, who was part of the interviews, who earlier on we were told he's not good. He was responsible for the collapse of smaller municipalities in the Eastern Cape. Then all of a sudden, Sunday evening, you are instructed that you must appoint the same person. And I said, there's no way I will appoint this person because you said this person is a failure. He lied in his CV. He was responsible for the downfall of smaller municipalities in the Eastern Cape. What is it that has changed overnight that made him a municipal manager?
Also said in leading to your expulsion that you, Mr. Tabete, had your finger in the cookie jar, that you were using council monies as your own little piggy bank.
Those were stories that were made to smear me, to destroy my name. If you go to Lekwa and ask how the municipality functioned at that time, we had a united municipality, we had a functioning municipality, budgets were approved, we had a clean financial sheet, and for them to remove me, they had to create all these stories. That's not just one story. There are so many stories that were created about me, and at the end, none of them came out true.
So how were you removed if those were not true and they didn't stick?
I was removed so that they could put people that were of their choice, people that will agree to what they were doing. I did not sign the contract of that municipal manager, and that municipal manager operated in the municipality without a contract for 2 years. That was the second municipal manager. The first municipal manager I was instructed to appoint was somebody who was a councillor then, who was a relative to the then MEC, who did not even have qualifications. That I was instructed to appoint.
So what this all points to is, as you said, this did not start, the decline in this municipality did not start in 2018.
No.
It's been a process. It wasn't an event. Let me bring in the civic voice, because the civic voice did very well in the last local government election. Nicholas Selepe, so when Mr. Mabuya says that everybody is to blame for the collapse of this municipality, including the opposition parties, do you accept that?
Good evening, Sakina, and your viewers and the panelists. Sakina, I do not agree with that. And even himself, he knows that he's just making up a story that has no existence. You can see, we know when you look at Mr. Tabete's face, you can see the historical frustration of this municipality. You can see that he is still pained by things that happened a long time ago. But if you want to know what is the problem of the Lekwa municipality, there's one word for it, it's ANC. Mr. Mabuya is talking about councillors of the ANC and is saying they are the reason for the failure of the municipality and the failure to comply and all of those stories. I can tell you now that this municipality has been failing to comply because of the imposition of the ANC in the region and both in the province. The municipality in Lekwa and all municipalities in Mpumalanga are the same. The story that Lekwa is worse than all municipalities, it's non-existent. All municipalities in Mpumalanga are the same, and they are the same because the corruption in the ANC is not bottom up, it's up downwards. So the region and the province of the ANC is destroying these municipalities because this is where they make money. They deliberately appoint weak councillors and make sure that they will control them throughout. I can tell you now that he's saying we're fighting and removing the mayor this is the same mayor who, when a budget and the IDP had to be passed, he did not go to, in fact, out of the 15 wards, he went to 2 wards to consult. And the rest of, in fact, other 7 wards were consulted by the speaker in his absence. And the ANC came because we then also joined them and said we want to work with them. So we are part of their caucus. So in that caucus, they sent the now MEC of Economic Development to come and tell us and instruct us to go and adopt that budget, even though only 7 wards were consulted, and 5 of them were not even consulted by the executive mayor. And they were told, ANC councillors, to make a choice when they were telling them that we can't consult a budget in an IDP that has not been consulted upon. They were told to make a choice that they want to either listen to the ANC or they want to be kicked out. And the threats are always clear that you see your community that you are talking about can only remove you after 5 years. But we can remove you with immediate effect. And they've removed some of them. So those councillors that are there were not applying their own mind. They were instructed by people who are not even in Lekwa, who do not even understand what is happening in Lekwa.
Okay. Mr. Selepe? Mr. Selepe?
Yes.
Let me ask you about the civic voice and not necessarily the ANC. So the civic voice, after all that you've explained to us, you talk about budgets that needed to be adopted. Did you vote to adopt that budget?
At that time, yes, we voted to adopt the budget because we were part of that caucus and we wanted to work with that caucus because it gave us an opportunity to influence most of the decision. Because otherwise, if you are not part of their caucus, the ANC has 20 councillors, and before every council meeting, they will sit in their caucus on the council agenda and come into the council the following day with resolutions that they've already taken. The opposition in Lekwa is only 10 seats. And the ANC is 20 seats. And that council only needs 16 seats for a quorum and for it to sit and take decisions.
But it does not absolve you.
The council was not taking decisions.
It does not absolve you. It does not absolve the opposition, Mr. Selepe, because that was, are we talking about the 2018 budget? Just to make sure we're on the same page. Which budget are you referring to? The 2018 budget.
Yes, that's nothing.
Was that a funded budget?
It was not. It was not.
Why did you approve it? Why did you approve it along with the ANC?
We approved it because we were now working with them, and we fought a number of things within the caucus to change them. But there are some of the things where they will just draw the line, and you realize when you are 3, even if you say no, they are going to adopt it anyway.
No.
But our presence there assisted to stop a number of other things that were wrong.
You don't get a free pass on that one, Mr. Selepe, because are you familiar with Section 170 of the Municipal Finance Management Act? Were you inducted in that?
Yes, we are.
And what does it say?
No, I don't remember it offhand, but I think you're referring to the one that says councillors can be held responsible for decisions that we're part of.
Yeah, it's because you don't know it, Mr. Selepe, that you actually voted to adopt an unfunded budget because it goes against the rules. But let me ask the EFF again, because Mr. Mabuya says you were all complicit, the ANC along with the opposition parties. So where did the EFF stand on this, Tracy?
Greetings, everyone in the panel. I'd like to differ with Mr. Mabua in regards to what he's actually saying, that all opposition parties actually voted for the motion of the budget. We as the economic freedom fighters actually abstained in that motion. And since after that, we didn't participate in any other motion that ran in the municipality of Lekwa because there was absolutely no point to participate in something that actually is just about the squabbles of the ANC that is costing the residents of Lekwa municipality. Because everything that has been happening in the municipality of Lekwa was not professional, and people are actually serving their own interest instead of actually serving the interest of the people of Lekwa. So the whole process that happened in the municipality of Lekwa was just about the ANCs, their factions, and their squabbles. It had nothing to do actually with the residents of Lekwa. So we, as the economic freedom fighters, actually abstained in the motion to adopt the budget. So Mr. Mabua is actually incorrect to say that all the parties actually participated in the whole process of voting with the ANC.
So I want to find out
Besides,
about
the economic freedom fighters didn't pass it.
So in terms of just following up on some of the malfeasance that was taking place in this municipality, so you abstained from voting, at least not breaking the law in that regard, but with regard to other instances where there had been investigations, where people had been found guilty of misconduct, why is it that this municipality didn't follow up on anything, it would seem? Where was the EFF in making sure that it happened? When people were found on the wrong side of the law, be it contractors, be it councillors, why was there no follow-up to make sure that they faced the might of the law?
The economic freedom fighters actually opened several cases in that regard. But because we know that the law favors the African National Congress, the legislature is even aware of the cases that were opened by the economic freedom fighters. But up until today, there are absolutely no resolutions that are taken because, the African National Congress at this point, they are actually the leading party. So we are actually in a big struggle because cases are not being taken into consideration because the ANC is actually in power as we speak. So there is absolutely nothing that we say that the ANC is actually taking into consideration. And the government at large.
Let me ask you this. The stadium at Morganson, you know that stadium project?
Yes, I do. I'm aware of it.
As council, did you ever do an oversight visit to see what had happened there?
Of course, we have made an oversight visit.
At what point did you do the oversight visit as council?
We as the council, we actually went and checked the oversight visit of the stadium, and we actually discovered that the money that was actually taken out to build the stadium, nothing has been happening for the stadium. People basically tout the money for their own interest, as is what is actually happening at Lekwa currently in the moment. Nothing is functional in Lekwa, besides that several families are just benefiting in their own interest and not in the interest of the people.
So this is what I'm talking about. A whole stadium project was initiated, money was spent, and in your accounts as a council, you had signed off on the payments for that project, all of you, because you all have to take accountability collectively, because you say you did actually conduct the oversight visit. So you conduct the oversight visit, but you never realized that the expenditure had already been signed off and it was complete, and yet the project wasn't complete. What sort of oversight is that?
The EFF rejected the budget simply because of the failing of such projects as we speak. We as the EFF, we rejected the budget because there is absolutely nothing that is happening that we actually expect the money to be doing in Lekwa municipality. Hence now, the EFF simply rejected the budget because there is absolutely nothing happening that we...
All right, apologies once more for the connection there. Bandwidth problems will obviously become a factor as we continue with this program, seeing that we have so many guests on our Zoom platform. But of course, we're still just trying to get to the bottom of it, trying to gauge what led to this municipality gaining the dubious distinction of having had a high court order issuing to provincial government, to national government, to have to come down to Lekwa municipality to compel it to deliver services to the people. And that court order, of course, brought by Astral Limited, which is one of the, if not the biggest employer in the town. We're still going to hear from the administrator, Mr. Johan Mettler. He's here with us. But I quickly want to pulse the Freedom Front Plus and also the Patriotic Alliance on the sidelines of all of this to hear what they have to say about the service delivery challenges in Lekwa municipality. So, Werner, if I can come to you, let's quickly talk to what your view is and the fact that everybody is apparently complicit in what has happened here.
Chairperson, we must look at the model. The model to run municipalities is wrong. There's far too much politics. I question the necessity of political parties competing for power in municipalities. The ANC has a caucus. To caucus about what? To caucus about control, to caucus about governing the city. They do not caucus about the city or the town, to run the town. They are caucusing to stay in power. All the opposition parties, they are caucusing to get into power. To do what? To be in power, not to serve the community, but to be in power. If you consider what happened before 1994, the councillors were not paid. They served the people. They were not paid. There were no political parties there. People were elected. They were the elders of the community, looking after the interests of the town, not looking after the interests of a party, but a town, not caucusing to stay in power, but getting together and deciding what is the best to run this town, not like we are doing now. Now, the next thing, people who were working for the council, they started as junior officials, gradually moving up the ladder until they were fit and knowing everything about a town council, how to run a town council from the bottom to the top. Eventually, when they knew everything, they were entitled to become a municipal manager. Not like now that you choose who is politically affiliated, but people with the best ability were appointed, not cadres, but people with the necessary ability. And then the financial setup is wrong. The council looks at what is necessary for finance-wise. And they say, if everybody pays, then we will have so much money. Say, for instance, just to quote a figure, 10 million rand. Now we can spend 10 million rand. But at the end of the year, only 5 million has gone into the coffers of the municipality. But they have calculated their budget on expected income, which never realized. Then all of a sudden they are out of cash. And what are they doing? They are using Eskom as a bank facility without a ceiling. That's what is happening. Then, if you look at what is done and what is happening specifically in Lekwa, because I was there, no robot is working. No, the pump station is in a chaos because they had to get 10 million, just to quote a figure. They only got 5. That 5 million was spent on salaries. That 5 million was spent on financial careers. Okay. Not service delivery careers, but financial careers.
All right.
And then
Werner?
tenders and contracts. Every tender is corrupt. There's not a single one that is not corrupt.
We'll come back to it. We need to take a break. We'll come back to that, Werner, because I also just want to throw a spanner in the works there, because Emil was telling us earlier that 40% of the residents of this municipality actually live below the poverty line. So what does that mean in terms of revenue collection? How would you structure a model around that? This is Service Delivery Gauge. We're going to take a quick break. Don't forget, we want to hear from you. Our WhatsApp number is 083 272 8341. And you can also call us 011 714 8052. And our question of the day, just a quick reminder, have you registered to vote in the upcoming local government elections? You can send us those tweets, our handle at SABC News, our Facebook page, Service Delivery Gauge. Right back after this break.
I'm very disappointed with our current government. They are very dismally failed, ne? Yeah. Look at our roads. Look at our infrastructures. No, I'm a graduate, IT graduate. Look who I am today. You see this thing. ANC, we need to change our mentality.
I'm giving our town 0 over 100% with the service delivery. Nothing is happening. And it gets worse immediately after the administrator arrives in our municipality.
I'm giving this town yellow because there is no good service delivery on this municipality. Since 2009, when former executive mayor, Mrs. Juliet Khatebe Kumalo, was being removed. And then since then, this town, this municipality has never been okay.
Ugovernment wethu wala Standerton umasipala wethu akasinaki mama nganeksi amathuba omsebenzi abasichashi naku namanje siphusha amatroli sizama impilo nokuthi sigange la Standerton abasinaki na umgwaqo ubheka unjani la Standerton ugesa ukho.
No, amakhansela la Standerton awasebenzi lutho. Yingakho bagcina baqosha konke okulaka amasipala awasebenzi lutho ngoba even nomgwaqo ongena la Standerton vele uyabheda awasebenzi lutho.
So welcome back, and you're still watching Service Delivery Gauge, and we're talking to the Lekwa municipality issues and what's been happening here. And this town, of course, the council, the municipal council, has been dissolved because of the perilous state of service delivery. Simply didn't happen, and it forced one of the employers in the town to actually go to court, and the High Court ruled that the national government should intervene. Inept is how the Deputy Minister of Finance described what was going on, and just the ability of those in the council. Let's speak to the administrator now, Mr. Jan Mettler. You've been listening to all of this, and of course you can tell us better in terms of what you found there.
Very good evening to you, Sakina, and to everybody else. I don't think that there is a television program long enough for you to fully comprehend the sad state of affairs in Lekwa municipality. It is such that it truly affects the dignity of human beings. You saw in the one insert a lady living in filth. We have blocked sewers in residential areas, in township areas, everywhere, that have been blocked and overflowing for years. They run into directly into the stormwater system and then into the Vaal River. So untreated sewage into the Vaal River. And we have infrastructure that is crumbling. There's no other way to describe it. The reason why there is why the water pressure is problematic is because the infrastructure is bad, is porous, so the pipes are porous. Water is running away. We have unaccounted for water in Lekwa municipality to the tune of 73%. So of all the water that we treat, we can't account for 73%. Some of it may be taken without being metered, quite a lot in fact, but a lot just disappears. I was at the river park today. There's a broken pipe. That pipe comes directly from the treatment works, and because the pipe is broken, that water flows right back into the river. So we have a serious problem also with electricity. Electricity provision is in a really bad state. It is inconsistent. We have what people refer to as Lekwa shedding. So over and above the load shedding from Eskom, there is internal load shedding simply because the infrastructure of Lekwa cannot handle the amount of electricity that is required at any given day. During winter, that problem was of course exacerbated because of the cold. We are now taking that into account and what the main objectives are. The main objectives really now for the immediate term is to stabilize electricity provision to people.
Mr. Mittler, if I may, people are looking to you to make things better. That is the unfortunate reality of it. Have you made any promises? And, in terms of your reporting back to COGTA and to Treasury, what is the state of play 3 months since you've arrived?
Yes, we do report back on a monthly basis, and we report back on an interim plan that's being devised. But of course, one cannot wait on a plan. There are very immediate issues that need to be addressed. So one of the first issues that we set out to address is the provision of electricity, to make sure that we are in a position where we do not have to have the internal load shedding. So we have engaged Eskom, and on Tuesday we hope to conclude negotiations with them with regard to us paying our current account. Because once we can pay our current account, that will unlock a further agreement where our maximum demand can then be increased. So that should theoretically mean that we won't have the kind of electricity load shedding that we have had.
Mr. Mittler, I have to park you there because I quickly need to go to a break. We'll come back and we'll continue to discuss what's happening in the Lekwa municipality. The administrator giving us a sense of what needs to be done, servicing the current electricity account in order to take care of the load shedding situation over and above the Eskom load shedding. They have their own Lekwa load shedding. And this has, of course, led to many, many problems, not just for the residents, but for businesses in this municipality as well. Please stay with us. You're watching Service Delivery Gauge. And welcome back to Service Delivery Gauge. Now, we are gauging what's been happening in the Lekwa municipality in Mpumalanga. The Patriotic Alliance also with us this evening. Andrew Maskew, a new party, a new kid on the block in this particular setup. So tell us what your views are and also what you intend to change to perhaps bring about the sort of change that the community would like to see.
Good evening, Sakinda. Good evening to the viewers. Good evening to the panel. Yes, as a Patriotic Alliance, our stance is very clear. We are the last hope for the people, and the ANC, the DA, the other oppositions has failed the people of Lekwa. So we are there to restore the faith. We are there to restore the trust. We are taking service delivery very serious. We have already started doing our own service delivery in the community of Azalia. We've unblocked pipes, all the damages that was caused due to this looting. So we are there to come with new hope. We are the last hope.
All right. Seemingly a problem there. And I must just apologize because of all the people we have on the lines. I'm not sure what the issue is there with the bandwidth. But of course, our time is up. And going forward, I'm sure we will not have panels this big. But it was important to hear everybody so that you can hear for yourself what the various political parties have to say for themselves regarding the issues in Lekwa. But let's start with the administrator. Literally 15 seconds. I just need you to tell us where to from here. Is there light at the end of the tunnel for this municipality?
Yes, Sakina, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's a whole of government approach in order to deal with this matter. So there are government entities involved, government departments are involved, and we are on track to, certainly within this 12 months, to make a seeming difference.
Well, that's where we unfortunately have to leave it. As Britain Makula says, this show needs more than this, at least 3 hours. I can tell you, we are feeling it. We have so many features, but of course, we had a very big panel to start off with on our very first show here on Service Delivery Gauge. We'll have another edition for you next week. And of course, we will have fewer panelists, which means that we will be able to show some of your features. But SABC News is with you all the time, so we'll play out some of what we couldn't play out on the show today on some of our other news platforms. So please keep it tuned to SABC News Channel 404 and of course SABC2. That's where we're going to leave it. Thanks so much from me and the rest of the team here at Service Delivery Gauge. Have a wonderful evening. Until next time. Bye.